Hello everyone, TooneySA here, and for the first time in the CTR time trial tournament I'm going to be doing the breakdown alone. For Hot Air Skyway I was unable to find a time that worked for myself, Looper, and Mayo Doctor himself was also interested, but fortunately the stars did not align, so I'm going to be doing this one alone, as I said. So Hot Air Skyway, it's a bit of a shame that this one is one I'm doing alone because it's one of the better tracks in the game. It's CTR's answer for Mario's Rainbow Road. I'd argue it's a little bit more forgiving than Rainbow Road though, but that's just me. So yeah, there's a lot of tricks and skips that can be done in this level that can skip a lot of the track. Some players attempt them, some don't. There's quite a popular skip about halfway through the level which skips maybe like 10 seconds of track. There's major skips that skip most of the track, so there's a lot that could go right and a lot that could go wrong on this kind of track, as well as it being quite difficult to control based on Rainbow Road. The barricades are not everywhere on the level, so it's quite easy to fall off in certain places, which I'm sure you'll see plenty of. So without further ado, I'm going to start the video in 3, 2, 1. And off they pop. So yeah, I'm going to have to try my best to keep track of everything that's going on, which is not going to be easy. A lot of the more finer commentary is obviously going to happen when I do the more specific breakdown of people, because there's just so much to pay attention to on my own. You can see Cola Pro right now going the wrong way. That's deliberate to attempt the skip that I said skips most of the track, and he actually got it right there. So that skips the entire spiral section, as well as the lead up to the spiral section and a little bit of the other part. And unfortunately he fails barricade though. The game took pity on him and put him on part of the track that disappeared and then reappeared, which can happen in this track when you don't properly render it. Fisher also falling off the track but has recovered. Most of the racers closing on the end of the first lap right about now. Surprisingly, MTB's a little bit further behind than he usually is. He's usually doing a lot better. Luke leading the pack for now. Mayo Doctor doing quite well as well. Myself and Psychic Gamer very, very close to each other too. Lucas Bolton attempting to skip the last corner, which only saves like 2 seconds, but it's not like a particularly worthwhile skip in my personal opinion. It's just really hard to pull off. Cola Pro attempting for a second time to get the skip but fails at that time, and he's going for a third attempt and he falls off. So that's the risk. Yoga Monia also falling off as well, attempting the barricade skip halfway through the level. Cola Pro is not giving up, he's going for it again. He's lost a lot of time messing it up, which is a shame because in practice I saw him get it, maybe a third of the time, so he's a little bit more consistent than he's shown to be here. A third, maybe a half. Fisher falling off again, I think it's intentional. Oh, that time's definitely not intentional. So that's going to set him back quite a long way. Lucas Bolton catching up to his position. Nintendo Gen also falling off, but he does make the skip by the looks of it. So yep, Luke miles ahead. If you look on the middle of the graph, you can see that Luke is already entertaining the final part of the track of the third lap. Meanwhile, everybody else is at least 10 seconds behind him at this point. It's pretty huge. I think Mayo Doctor, by the looks of it, is running in second. Mayo Doctor about to get the skip, he does, and that was a very, very clean skip. So Mayo Doctor is probably going to cleanly come second behind Luke here. I just fell off the track myself, attempting the barricade skip. I'm not that consistent at it myself. So yeah, Mayo Doctor closing in. I think Psychic Gamer is going to take this from me due to me falling off the track. It was a very close attempt at beating him. I really wanted to beat him at this track because it's a track that requires a lot of skill. I think Yoga just about edges it over me there. So 250, 250. Yeah, Yoga just about edging it over me, which I'm really sad about. Beating Cola Pro despite his attempt at some great strats. If they paid off first try, it would be quite a tight race between himself and Luke. Which I'm not sure if Luke actually went for the strats. I'm going to have to look at that. MTB finishing as well. Brandon Black is closing in. Crystal Fisher crossing the line there. Dr. Monkey Man and Desert Monkey crossing the line as well. There's Brandon Black over the line. Just looking to see who's kind of next to finishing. I think Lucas Bolton and King Dede. Oh, King Dede is actually ahead of Lucas but falls down. It's a shame, crying shame. So Dede's still going to make it though. Lucas really trying to get that skip a couple of times and unfortunately failing. Space Weave crosses the line just before Dede, so congratulations to Space Weave, that's a good finish for him. Nintendo Gen just behind Lucas, there goes Nina, and then finally Australian Mun is going to trundle towards the edge there, a considerable distance behind everybody else unfortunately. So yeah, a lot of action, and now we're going for the... I'm not sure how Mayo edited this because he's actually the editor for the final couple of races. I'm not sure if he edited it so that this is the top 6 finishers of the track or the top 6 in the tournament. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe it's both. I'll be able to see now. No, Luke does not go for the big Cola Pro strat, so he's just absolutely fucking amazing at the track instead. So that's pretty incredible. And you'll see that despite the fact there's a shortcut off to the right there, Luke offers a better idea of going to the left, whereby there's the Sacred Fire. The reason is if you go to the left, you can make the jump without boosting, which means you can maintain the Sacred Fire for longer. But going off to the right, you have to like land with a boost, which cancels out the Sacred Fire. So that's why the left is a better place to go for the Sacred Fire. And Cola and Luke are actually very, like Cola's strat, even though he failed it the first try, he was very close to, you know, being on par with Luke if he didn't fall off the track on the barricade skip to slow him down there. It's a little bit due to the track not rendering properly. That's how Hot Air Skyway works on the PS1 engine. It has to render the track in chunks because it's just too big. So yeah, a lot of action going on here. Yoga also, as you can see, doing the smart thing of going for the right way. I think everyone goes that way in retrospect, to be honest. Or everybody that knows about the strat. Cola falling off again. Yoga also falling off. So Yoga falls off. I fall, like pretty much everyone except Luke falls off, I think. I'm not sure if Marcus falls off at some point. Final lap for Luke, we can see that he's at least 10 seconds ahead of everyone, maybe even more at this point. It's pretty incredible. Yoga and Psychic crossing the line almost at the same time. I think, oh, I'm actually slightly ahead of them at this point. That's I must have really let myself down on the final lap or something. Although the final lap is when I fall off after barricade skip, so probably makes sense. Barricade skip nice and clean for Luke. Mayo with the same kind of fashion. I think this is the top 6 because otherwise Mayo Doctor should be in here if it was the top 6 for just this track and not just a case of top 6 overall. So this must be the top 6 overall. Which, if you'd have said to me at the start of the tournament the way that I was playing that I was going to be top 6, I'd have been very surprised. But I think it was a little bit aided by Al Malloy and Chambers both stopping the tournament. If they had both continued, I think I would have cleanly been kept out of the top 6, maybe even top 7. Photo finish between Yoga and Psychic there. I think Yoga just about edges it by a little bit, and I was really close behind as well. Wow, that's a very close finish between the three of us. Cola 256 and MTB, one of his slower tracks. MTB's usually up there with the top 3 in pretty much every track there is in. We got the middle pack, unfortunately featuring Cola Pro again because of editing, I guess. But I think with how I remember the first run going, that Mayo Doctor should be cleanly away from pretty much everyone in this one. Cola Pro the closest to him, but even Cola Pro should be quite a distance behind him by the last lap of this track. So I'm a bit more interested to see what Danta goes for. Okay, so Danta goes for the shortcut, and that shortcut for some reason on NTSC seems really unreliable. At least for me, I always feel like I can't quite make the jump on NTSC, but on PAL I seem to feel like I have higher jump abilities. I'm not sure if that's backed up though, maybe a modder be able to tell me if PAL can jump a tiny bit higher. Brandon Black has been on a series of poor runs lately, but he seems to be doing okay at the moment. He's He's ahead of Danta, he's ahead of Lucas, he's ahead of Monkey Man, so he's not doing too bad, all things considered. And I spoke too soon, there he goes. Yeah, I just cannot bring myself to try that jump. That jump just, for 2 seconds, it just doesn't seem worth it. Because it loses at least 5 or 6 if you mess it up. Cola Pro, this is the lap where he unfortunately fails twice to get the trick, losing a lot of time. So Fisher makes a mistake there by landing the intended route, but he starts boosting immediately, which completely cancels out the Ultra Sacred Fire. Not sure if I do the same. You gotta have quite a few reserves built up to make Sacred Fire work for you. Lucas missing the shortcut as well. And I use the, as I said, I use the word shortcut quite loosely. It's like shorter as in quicker, or is it faster? If you can get Sacred Fire to work, not really. If you're really good at the game, you can maintain the Sacred Fire until you come to the exact same Sacred Fire pad again. So you can just have an endless loop of Sacred Fire. Cola's strat is definitely the fastest though if you can pull it off consistently. If he had got that first try all 3 times, he would probably have comfortably beaten Luke. Not just beaten him, but like beaten him by a comfortable margin, maybe 5-10 seconds. Lucas off again. This might be his record number of falling off the track, unfortunately. Desert with a pretty decent barricade, lost a bit of speed on the turnaround, but I can sympathise. I also can't get the U-turn very smoothly at that point. Mayo Doctor crossing the line considerably ahead, as you can see where everybody else is at. Brandon not taking the risk with barricade, he's just going the slow way. Fisher's fell off, I think, every time he's done barricade at that point. Cola Pro considerably further behind Mayo. And Desert Monkey very close to Cola Pro. That was nearly a big step up from Desert Monkey, who I don't think has finished ahead of Cola Pro yet, but I could be wrong. Crystal Fisher with a respectable 3:12, Dr. Monkey over 3:13. Danta Fanta and Lucas Bolton still trundling along. Danta's going to cross very soon though. Lucas quite a bit behind his usual rivals. Which is a shame because Lucas was making movement on the board, but if he's not beating Monkey Man and he's not beating Danta Fanta in particular, then it's going to really be a detriment to his overall finish. He's looking at a 3:44 at the moment, 3:46. Yeah, 3:48. Okay. So yeah, Lucas will be a little bit disappointed. He had a faster third lap than the other 2 laps, but he kept making a couple of the same mistakes each lap, unfortunately. Alright, the bottom of the barrel. And I mean that in a respectful way. I just love the casual start of Nina and Mum, how like even the bottom 3 are boosting a little bit like initially. And then Mum and Nina very casually going around the corners. Nina getting the occasional boost off. Mum is power sliding a little bit, but she doesn't really go for the boost. She does know how to slide. And I have seen her get the boost every now and again, but it doesn't happen often. Oh, Nina making the shortcut. It's I'm surprised she did that. I remember in practice she messed it up like over and over again. So I kept saying go to the left to her, but somehow she made the jump. Even I struggle with that. Space Weeb is slightly ahead at the moment, followed by... Oh, sorry, Dead A slightly ahead, followed by Space Weeb. Nintendo Gen, Nina Cortex close behind. Mum is about 3 or 4 seconds behind them too. It's Dead A and Weeb. Dead A and Weeb are taking the race by storm for the bottom people. They're being quite consistent, and this is a track that you expect the lower people to struggle with due to the tight turns, the lack of barricades. But yeah, it's a very close race between those two. It's a bit hard to commentate on this one because the action's very slow, it's very safe. And I think it's looking like it's going to be consistently Weeb and Dead A up front at the moment. Oh, okay, there's a bit of action. We asked, and we were given it at the expense of Space Weeb, of Dead A falling off, unfortunately, and ceding a little bit of ground to Nintendo Gen and even Nina. So Mum comfortably behind where she will remain for the rest of the race. Nintendo Gen going for the barricade skipper. He had like 0 speed. Oh, but game felt sorry for him. It was like, here you go. At least you tried. That's put him back on level with where Weeb's at. So it's put him above Nina, who's now just approaching the turn where you go over the airship jump. Mum about 5-6 seconds behind Nina, so there's already a little bit of a gap there. And across the line for Kazu, Dede and Nintendo Gen, Nina about to approach the final lap as well. Looking at a 1:16, 1:15, Mum with a 1:20, a very slow first lap. Compare that to the bottom ones, a 1:11, 1:11, 1:10. Space Weeb picking up some speed from the Ultra Segfied. Dede probably cost himself there. He may have made the jump, but it looked like he was in 2 minds. He went towards the left and then decided to go towards the right. You can never do that with that jump. You've just got to go for it or don't. There's no like, you can't be in 2 minds. You'll always mess it up. Nintendo Gen slamming into the barricade, which means that it's going to squish his character, losing a bit of time. So Dede's had a chance to re-overtake Nintendo Gen. Space Weeb comfortably ahead at the moment. Unless he makes any last-second error, he should finish ahead. Oh, there's the error. Oh gosh, I wondered why Dede somehow finished. Look at that. Space Weeb falling for a good few seconds there, which is a shame. He was on track to beat Dede. Oh, but he still might because Dede fell down as well, his closest rival. Dede actually still appeared on the top ramp somehow. So yeah, Space Weeb, congratulations. I think that's your highest finish so far. Followed closely by Dede, and then Nintendo Gen as well, pretty close. Nina comfortably behind, and Mum also comfortably behind. They're both a turn's worth behind. Alright, here we go. We're not even going to let Mum finish apparently because we know how it goes. Alright, so Luke RF44, 229. Look at that. That's giant. That's insane. 30 points. Mayo Doctor getting his highest finish yet with 2nd place, 245, 25 points. Yoga in 3rd, claiming the bronze medal, 250, 610, 22 points. Psychic Gamer close behind that, 250, he gets 20 points. And myself, also a 250 with milliseconds apart, 18. Then Cola Pro's a bit of a gap, that should say 256, not 246, thanks a lot Dessert Monkey. 15 points for Cola Pro. Dessert Monkey, 13 points. MTB a 303 with 12 points. Crystal Fisher 10 seconds behind that with a 312, 11 points. Dr. Monkey Man a 313, just barely behind, 10 points. Brandon Black 319, 9 points. Danta Fanta 328, 8 points. Kazu Space Weeb 339, 7 points. Dede 1 second behind with 6 points. Nintendo Gen a few more seconds behind, 5 points. Lucas Bolton 348, 4 points. Nina 348, 3 points. And then last of all, we have Mum with 357 claiming 2 points. So there's a handful of pockets of close finishes, and then you've got the extremes like Luke finishing miles ahead and Mum finishing miles behind. Alright, the overall, Yoga still sitting on top with 366 points where he likes to be. 2nd place Luke, amazing finish. He's only 30 points behind Yoga now with 336. The Psychic Gamer gets a 322 points in 3rd place. MTB in 4th with 276. Cola Pro in 5th with 267. TooneySA 237 points, I'm just 30 behind Cola Pro now. Mayo Doctor in 7th, 193 points. Brandon Black dropping from 7th to 8th, ceding ground to Mayo Doctor with 177. Dessert Monkey 169. 10th is Crystal Fisher with 165 points. There's still a battle going on between Brandon, Dessert, Crystal. Al dropping down again because he's a DNP. He's probably going to slip to the next panel in the final couple of races. Chambers are 134 points. 13th is Danta Fanta, 128. 14th is Dr. Monkey Man, 124. 15th place is Lucas Bolton, 109, losing unfortunately a lot of ground that he was catching up on there. Nintendo Gen really far behind with 76 points. King Dede 72 points. Looper 45. Kazu 44. Kazu's definitely going to take over Looper for sure. Mum 37. She potentially could take over Looper with a couple of good finishes. And then finally with 29 points is Nina in 21st position. Thank you so much for watching. I've tried my best to keep track of all of the information for you. Next up is Turbo Track, probably one of the weirdest tracks that we had to race due to all the speed boost pads, basically Slide Coliseum on steroids. And then we will finish the tournament with Oxide Station before potentially doing a Nitro Fuel tournament. Thanks again, and see you in the next one.